What's up, guys? So I got a comment from one of our subscribers the other day by the name of George. And George says, Vinny, I have mostly muscle. I'm having trouble losing a little bit of belly fat. I do sit-ups, leg raises, squats. I jog uphill. I eat healthy, drink green tea, do some apple cider vinegar, and I also do calisthenics 5 days a week. So according to George's estimation, he's relatively lean. He has a good amount of muscle on his body, but he just has that belly fat that he's looking to lose. He says he does the sit-ups, the squats, he exercises calisthenics 5 days a week. So that's proof positive that exercise doesn't control our weight. Our weight is controlled by what we eat, how often we eat, and how much of it that we eat. The exercise obviously benefits us in a lot of other ways, and yeah, it will help us, burn some extra calories. But if we have an otherwise shitty diet and we think that we're going to exercise that away, it's just going to be an uphill battle. It's not really going to work in the long run. So we have to look at the eating pattern in order to control the weight and gain or lose body fat. George says that he eats healthy foods, drinks green tea, which is excellent. Does a little bit of apple cider vinegar, which is also a great thing to do. That could help, lower your blood sugar. It's great for your gut health. There's bullshit with GERD. I have, acid reflux, and they put you on Nexium and all these other PPIs for the rest of your life. These skunks at this pharmaceutical companies, you do a shot of apple cider vinegar and that's going to get your stomach right. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. It looks like George is doing okay, but the one thing, if I was talking to him one-on-one, he says that he eats healthy, clean foods. A lot of people have a different opinion on what's healthy and clean. So first and foremost, if you're looking to lose body fat, carbs are your enemy. Not all carbs are the enemy, but when it comes to actually losing body fat, and obviously the ultra-processed carbs, the sugar, the candy, and that type of stuff that we've talked about before, that's what you want to cut out. But when it comes to losing body fat, a carb is a carb. So, and a lot of people find this hard to believe, a candy bar, a bowl of white rice, and a sweet potato to your body is sugar. It's broken down into sugar in your body, and if you're trying to lose the weight, a sugar is sugar, according to your body. While you're trying to lose the weight, you want to minimize even the so-called healthy carbs until you do lose that weight. Then you can incorporate them back in your diet, absolutely, in moderate amounts. They're perfectly healthy. But we're looking at, again, what's our goal? It's to lose the body fat. So we want to eliminate as much of that as we possibly can. The other thing I would ask George is, were you heavy, were you obese or overweight at one point? Did you lose a ton of weight and then you kind of plateaued or you stalled at the point that you're at now, where you have that maybe, 10 or 15 pounds of fat around the midsection? Because as you do lose that weight, you will plateau and your body gets stingy towards the end, getting rid of that weight. So you have to shake things up a little bit. So let me just go over just generalization. If I was coaching George one-on-one, we drilled things down a lot more. I'd get more into it with him. But just some overall general rules that I would look at if you're trying to lose the weight, those last, 10 or 15 pounds. When you get to that point, obviously your eating frequency is always important. Eating frequency is like number one. You don't want to be eating 4, 5, 6 times a day. Okay, that's just a complete disaster for weight loss. If you're looking to gain weight, then eat as much as you want, as often as you want. But in order to control your weight and lose body fat, you don't want to be eating multiple times a day like that. So number one is going to be the eating frequency. Obviously, to lose weight, you have to be at a calorie deficit. And when you get to this point where you just have a few pounds to lose, the macronutrient breakdown is going to be real important. So you want to have, ideally, a good starting point, and then you could play with the numbers a little bit, but you would want to have upwards of 50% of your food coming from protein, about 25% from carbs, even less than that, and then about 20 to 25% from fat, healthy fats. A lot of people aren't inclined to get into that because you have to, I at one point used an app called MyFitnessPal where you could figure things out. But a lot of people aren't inclined to do that. They feel it's too much work. So if that's the case, I would just I generally tell people you want to eat lean. If you're not going to be counting, figuring the macros and doing the math, just generally speaking, you want to keep your meals. First of all, again, getting back to the eating frequency, I wouldn't eat more than twice a day, and you would eat lean. When I say that, I mean a lean protein source, some lean meat, fish, and vegetables. And if you have any fruit at all, I would suggest like some berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. They're really low on the carb content. So if you're going to have any type of fruit, I would keep it that. So generally speaking, you just want your meals to consist of some type of lean protein and some vegetables and, a little bit of fruit. Again, keep it to berries for now. And then number 3, I would say our weight is controlled by hormones. And when we eat, there's hormone responses to that food when we eat. And the number 1 hormone that we talk about that controls the weight and gaining and losing body fat is insulin. So we want to minimize the amount of times that we spike our insulin throughout the day. Therefore, we want that low eating frequency because every time we eat something, we do get a spike. So we want to keep that down as low as we can. So I would say to George that I would want to eat my meals or eat any food that I have in the early part of the day. In my case, I get up at, between 6 and 7 in the morning. So that's when I start my day. Somebody else may get up at 10 in the morning. They may get up at 5 in the morning. So it's your day. So when I talk about the early part of the day, let's say, you wake up at 6 a.m. and you're in bed by, 10 at night. When I say eat your meals in the first part of the day, you probably want to be done eating by 4 to 5 p.m. the latest. Again, maybe 2 meals a day. And the other thing too is you want to keep that last bit of food at least a couple to probably a few hours away from your bedtime. You don't want to go to bed with a gut full of food while you still digest. And the main reason why you do want to have your food in the early part of the day is because generally speaking, our bodies are more sensitive to insulin in the early part of the day. As it gets later and at night, we're less sensitive to the insulin, which means that in response to, let's say I eat a meal at 10 a.m., I'll have an insulin response to that food. If I eat that same meal at 10 p.m., I'm also going to have an insulin response, but it's going to be a greater response. So there's going to be more of an insulin spike. And again, the key to losing fat is to minimize the insulin spikes. So just to sum things up for George and everybody else, the 3 things, again, that we want to look at when we get to this point where we just have that last 10 or 15 pounds to lose, you really have to drill it down, and you're looking for a low eating frequency. Never, ever, ever eat 4, 5, 6 times a day. At most, you could have 2 good meals a day and you'll be fine. If you're inclined to do it, you would get an app like MyFitnessPal, and you would do a breakdown of your macros, and you're looking, say, at like a 50% protein, 25% carbs, and 25% fat. And again, if you don't want to do that, just think in your mind, I want to eat lean. So look at you always want to eat, your meal should consist of a lean protein source, like meat or fish, a bunch of vegetables, and maybe a little bit of fruit if you want to do that. And then again, what time of day do you eat? We always want to have our food as early in the day as possible and as far away from bedtime as possible. I did another video, which should be right here if I do it right, and you can go back and look at that, where I think I went into a little bit more detail as far as like what to eat and losing the weight and all. But all right, that's it for now. I appreciate everybody watching, and if anybody else has any type of questions, I'm also going to have my email address down in the description. Feel free to email me a question, or if it's something you don't want to leave in the comments, or you just want to leave a question in the comments, maybe it'll be an idea for another video I can do. I'd appreciate it. And that's about it for now. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.